minute.
Welcome to the House of Static.
This is
I'm Bob Smith, and he is Kilo House. But that's not true.
This week on the House of Static, from Los Angeles, filmmaker, actor, dancer, musician, and all-around cool guy, Canaan Sanders.
Sanders.
Right now, and then we will be back with you, and hopefully you're enjoying it. So let's talk about Canaan.
Right. Well, hold on one second. We didn't actually do any of the normal intros, so
no.
We'll do that. So welcome to the House of Static. This is I'm Bob Smith, otherwise known as the Static Dive. That's the static part. And my co-host and good friend Kilo House is the house part of the name, and he's out there in LA, and I'm in New York. With us is my cat Mittens.
And my dog. My dog Flex is here because it's Christmas, so you got to have all the animals, all the manger-seeking animals around.
There you go. And of course, with Kilo is Canaan. So Kilo, why don't you introduce Canaan, and then we'll go on from there.
This is Canaan. The end.
Okay. What is Canaan's last name?
Sanders.
Got it.
Canaan Sanders. All right. See, there you go. Now we're rolling here.
Good. I do that a lot. He likes to lift me up into vehicles with the Lion King song playing. So I feel like Simba. Oh,
we have to do the Simba every time.
Okay. We should probably, before we get into the Simba, though, explain that Canaan is your manager, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that is a thing. That is true. That's not how we know each other, though, which is
right.
Weird. We're actually yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. We lived in the same apartment complex, and then one day I was drinking, and then I was gonna go to a restaurant and drinking, and then I saw him outside smoking a cigarette, drinking, and then I was like, "You like drinking? I like drinking. We should like drinking together." Then we became friends.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah. It happened.
Although he doesn't drink anymore.
I don't drink anymore. Yeah. So we're still friends, though. Don't worry. It's stayed. So that's how we met each other. Then we proceeded to hang out and do some of our fun activities that we both enjoyed. And then we, what else? Oh, then my friend who has previously gotten murdered, came up here, and me and Canaan did not always get along at the beginning of things. And Ronnie came here, and he sat with Sad Sack Canaan over here.
This is my former nickname, Sad Sack.
He was drunk and sat there with an outside. Well, he threw up and just was like, "It's okay, bro." So whenever,
for continuity, I was sad sober too.
There we go. Not that we ever got to see that part, right? Anyways. So Ronnie goes back to Oklahoma, and then Canaan and me don't get along greatly. But then Ronnie's like, "You got to be friends with him, bro. Like, he needs a friend, and you are a friendly person." So then we became good friends. And then he participated in 2 of my shows. He actually opened for the last show we did where I headlined, which was a benefit for like a hurricane or something. And he did his spoken word poetry, which we'll be talking about later on in the program. And so after that, I realized he is a strong man. And so that's very nice to have around when you have to fly like Simba onto the stage. So now his name is no longer... We'll talk about that. His name is no longer Sad Sack. Now it's La Hunka, because that means strong.
La Hunka.
La Hunka.
Okay. All right. Whatever language that may be. Sure.
Yeah.
It's my language. My dad made it up. It's okay.
Nice.
So
all right. So hold on one second.
Yeah.
Let's so we'll reel it back to a regular show a little bit for a second. So
for 1 second.
What we do on the show, right, is we talk to artists of all stripes and disciplines, and talk to them about their art, about what they create, why they create, how they started, what their deal is. And Canaan is, as you know, clearly is a good friend of Kilo's, and also manager. I think you said stage manager, business manager, manager of some sort. And also he himself is a multi-disciplinary artist, does a lot of things, poet, and you work in film, right? And music. So that's what we're here to talk about anyway. So I guess from that, maybe you pass over, tell us a little bit about, a little more, maybe a background about how you know Kilo, and then about yourself, Canaan.
Yeah, I moved here in about 2016, and like somewhere I was smoking cigarettes, noticed him walking his dog, and we just struck up a conversation. I was recently had a really hard breakup, and so I was going through it, some mental health stuff, and during the beginning of our friendship, I was pretty messy, and then I moved up north to I moved up north to kind of reevaluate. I went back to my old job. I was a chef for a little French bistro up in Northern California, and so I went there just to work and recalibrate my mental health, and then came back to LA, and we just continued being friends and getting closer.
That's awesome.
We had some pretty intense moments, and I think that's what really drives a good, solid relationship is you're for someone else regardless of what they're going through.
Right.
It's like a good friendship is the joys of the ups and the partnership in the lows. And I would say Kilo was definitely there for the dark and the light, for sure.
He's a good bro. I can tell you that. I mean, he and I've been friends for about a year, so I definitely agree with that. And that's a lot of what we do here too, is talk, because we, as we said, this is the 8th episode. We've gone through, we've had a few conversations, obviously 7 previous ones with some folks, and the show has already turned into maybe something kind of bigger and deeper and more interesting than I expected. And it's because people are interesting, right? And people that, I figured we'd get some weird stuff because artists are weird. The truth is, I think Malachi maybe, or Nick was the one that pointed out everybody's weird. Everybody's whacked and messed up, and everybody's got some crazy story. So I'm glad you started with that, basically, with the, that notion that that we all have a big breakdown, but a good friend is a lot more valuable than sometimes we realize. I think that's
oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to have him explain to our audience, since they probably are wondering, what inspired him to get into film. How do you go from being a skater, dancing kid from Oklahoma to being in LA working in the film industry?
Well, before you go there though, right? We don't know that yet, that Canaan is a skater kid from Oklahoma that came to LA. We haven't gotten there yet. We just know that you guys are friends. So Canaan, why don't you tell us how you got to LA?
It's kind of a long story. So I've always been in the acting field. So I come from a background in musical theater, and then got a job 5 days out of high school dancing ballet professionally.
I did not remember that.
And 3.5 years into my dance career, I got injured and then transitioned as a stunt coordinator for a hip hop dance company. Huh. And there was a lot of toxic stuff with that world. So I decided to leave dance and kind of transition and figure out what I'm going to do with my life, Right. So I tried my hand at teaching. I tried, I went pretty far in the chef world, and I got to a point where my first love has always been acting for film.
Right.
I might do theater at some point in the future, but I've always pursued knowledge of the craft of acting and pursuing psychology and understanding the self and the ego and trying to analyze performance. So I moved here in 2016 from Seattle to do that. Well, started in Oklahoma, went to Northern California, Seattle, and then finally to LA.
Is it just a strange coincidence that you guys are both from Oklahoma, or did you know each other?
It's a strange coincidence.
That's a very strange coincidence, because you're the only people I've ever met from Oklahoma.
He's from Tulsa, and I'm from Oklahoma City, so they're different worlds.
I see.
The bad side of, I'm the dog from the movie, the dog kids.
Homeward Bound?
From the bad side, and he's the one from the richer side.
I see.
Not that it's rich.
Yeah, it's Oklahoma. No one's really rich there.
They're reaching the Lord, bro.
Praise him.
But I mean, like that's already a really interesting story, Kaden. I mean, so you started with dance, right? Which explains the lifting of kilo, right? You got some training in that area.
There's photos. I have some sexy photos of me doing lifts.
Very nice.
No, of my old partners.
Yeah.
Dance partners.
Okay. Got it.
You can be my dance partner.
Okay.
Again, this is going a very strange direction all of a sudden.
I think people are going to like this one more. So if you like it more, comment in the little box below. We'll act like this every time.
It's so funny. You know, we had just on that subject of us being nuts. Our last episode we did was we had this girl named Landria, this singer songwriter from New York City. She's very cool. It was a great episode. But you never saw Kilo and I. It's the only time the two of us have ever been respectable at all in this show. We're both very polite because she's like this. She's a very, very bright, very together person and an attractive woman. And we were just like, yes, whatever you say. Yes,
whatever you say.
We don't know our moms, so we know how not to act.
Yeah, right.
We could follow that as a guide.
It's so funny. It was a great show. I'm not saying, but it's just funny. Like both of us became like uber professional because there was a woman in the house. You know, it was really funny.
It'll show the difference. It's like that one's perfect. This one is a shit show automatically. It had to get out. So.
Well, anyway, it's not a shit show. And Canaan already has started a very interesting story. So and I interrupted it. So why don't you continue? So you were dancing, came to LA, you tried teaching. I'm guessing you're talking about like teaching dance or teaching some other
preschool.
Oh, preschool, really? Okay, well there you go. And then
I was trying to find my voice, you know. So it's like, do I teach? You know, and in between all this, there was that nasty breakup and all that stuff. And then I've always written music and written spoken word poetry. And so like I thought I could get some success in like writing poetry books. I have 2 books published and like tried to go that route, but poetry has changed so fast. Even within the past 5 years, performance poetry is just not a thing anymore, pretty much.
Yeah. I think, if you don't mind, I want to ask a little bit about it, just because I've always I'm a writer, right? I have a blog and I write songs and I've written poetry my whole life, you know? So I do a lot of like literally writing words is like what I do all the time, all day long. Mm-hmm. And, I've always thought about getting into poetry as like, you know, I had like a couple things published a long, long time ago about poems. I mean, I've had other, you know, journalism pieces published dozens of times, but the poetry has always been elusive to me because I'd write something I thought was cool, but it was like not what was cool at the time. And I've always been it's always been a bit of a mystery to me, like what the poetry scene is, because there is just like a music scene and different styles of poetry are popular at different times in history and things like that. So that's interesting to me, that like performance poetry, because I remember like poetry slams in the 90s and the 80s and stuff, you know, that was big stuff. That's what people did. So you're saying that doesn't go on now? People had full careers from doing stage work like that. Well, a lot of great, like the really great, like cerebral rappers, like Mos Def. Yeah. Mos Def is a great example. He's freaking cool as hell. And he's a great poet, you know? Or Wadsky, the guy I mentioned that did the song, Hey Asshole. Oh yeah. He started off like winning some Def Jam poetry competition thing. Yeah, they used to have a TV show, the Def Jam. Yeah. I missed that show. Yeah. So that's all gone, you're saying? I'm not saying it's all gone. It's just changed so much. I say it's not gone, but I have a romance towards beat poetry that I feel like the romance view gets in the way of what's really happening, you know? Right. But they still have national slams. Cities still compete, you know, and like there's things still happening, but it's just like, you know, you can't throw up a YouTube video and make 6 figures anymore. Right. You know, when you're talking about beat poetry, I mean, you actually refer to the actual beat poetry, like from the 50s, Kerouac and Ginsberg and guys like that. Yeah. I mean, that's really where it was birthed, you know? It's like you're making jazz in essence. You know? Yeah, that's Kerouac is a big hero of mine, as a writer, a poet, and just everything.
So what are all of the arts? Let's just get a list out of the way.
Okay, I started with musical theater, dance, spoken word, singer-songwriting, composing, acting, and now filmmaking.
We haven't gotten into singing songwriting yet. So how did dance, acting, poetry lead into singer-songwriter?
Well, singer-songwriter, I've like started playing piano and guitar since I was like 12 and would write music. I had this weird thing where it's like, I'm not going to do covers. I'm going to be a real artist.
Right. Sure. Yeah, that was me my whole life. I'm still like that. Yeah.
We all do.
And then you do a fucking show at a fucking Starbucks. You're like, can you play Ed Sheeran?
Yeah. Play Freebird.
They don't have to do that. I don't know why. Huh? So also, so that people know, you also do praise and worship music at a church.
I don't actually. I play classical acoustic guitar for a church.
Okay, this and that, tomatoes, whatever. But my question for you, and let's take a moment to talk about this. How do you, as someone that doesn't necessarily believe the same as these people, how do you find inspiration to go through with that? Or is it just like, give me your money?
All of the musicians on this band are Berklee School of Music graduates. And so our sets are like an hour long, improv and feeding off of each other musically. Right. So like the bass player will play a line and I'll go there on the acoustic. And then the electric will respond. There's this cohesive improvisational kind of. And this,
so you're basically be like a church jam band.
It's pretty much a church jam band.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. They call like on that, the vocabulary for that end is like prophetic, prophetic whatever. Mm-hmm. What's the word? Yeah.
Jesus.
Just throw Jesus out there. Just Jesus. Hey, why not?
This is not the answer.
So did you?
It's like prophetic composing.
So, Katie, did you go to Berklee too, or is that just there are other guys who went to Berklee?
No, I trained. Do you know this band called the Flaming Lips?
I love the Flaming Lips.
So
huge Flaming Lips.
So the lead singer, I believe his cousin has a different band called the White Dwarfs or something. I can't remember the name. But the guitarist for that band, they used to tour with the Flaming Lips a lot. Wow. And the guitarist for that band actually I trained with him for a year and a half to 2 years.
Wow. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I have some connections to the Flaming Lips. Not personally, my band and my friends. Like a good friend of mine who is owned a recording studio, sold it, but he has a Grammy. He worked on Kanye West's album, but he lives here, and I've known him forever. And he knows the Flaming Lips. He's like hung out with them and stuff. And their producer, Dave Fridman, he's pretty famous, kind of alternative, like, trippy, hippy dippy, psychedelic Flaming Lips kind of producer. And he's a good friend of mine. So anyways, we've all got connections to that.
That's cool.
So the Flaming Lips are actually from Oklahoma. So I've seen Wayne Coyne at like the local pub in Oklahoma City. I've seen him walk around. It's crazy.
That's awesome. He's cool. Cool.
So we know what all the arts are that you do, right?
Yeah.
Now, can you explain to us whether your creative process and your inspirations come from different sources or the same source when doing the different mediums of your artwork?
That's a really good question. There's kind of two parts to that question. Number one is I had to work through my own creative process to choose. I had to come down to choosing what I want to do with my life. Right. I can't do all of the art, and then not get successful.
You can do it.
I mean, you could, but iron focusing onto one thing, I had to like chip down. I played the season of poetry. I played the season of dance, and those seasons ended. So now it's like finally adopting, acting and filmmaking.
Sure.
Is something I had to choose to do. As far as inspiration goes, I'm highly inspired by music. Sometimes I'll hear a song. Like I have a new short film coming out that I was inspired to write it from a kind of a jazz waltz. I was listening to jazz a lot, And I was like, oh, I have to write the story. There's a story in this song that I have to write. And on top of that, because I'm kind of up and coming, I'm having to write the scores myself and the scripts.
Let us score one of the movies too.
I'm down.
We're very good together.
We're doing some good stuff right now. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're doing an amazing album right now. Just so you guys know. But yeah, you should let us help you with that. But anyways, continue, sir.
Yeah, so that's kind of like I can be inspired by anything, you know, like there's music that I get inspired by, and then like I'll watch a film and have an emotional response to something.
Right.
And that emotional response will trigger a script idea.
Right.
You know, so I go to the lab and like type out the fucking script and then now it's business. Right. Now it's like the next creative space is like, where am I going to get funding? Who are my lighting people in my life? Like networking,
right?
And all that stuff.
You know, it's funny. Go ahead, Kilo.
No, you go ahead, man.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, what's funny is that because one of the first things you were talking about there was where you said you had to choose. Like, you know, you got multiple disciplines, multiple interests, and if you want to be successful, ultimately you're going to have to pick one to be your focus. And I agree with that, which is it's funny. It reminds me of a story. When I was like young, in my 20s, and I had a job because I always kind of had this parallel where I was a musician and I also had a business life. I had a corporate life, and one of my first real jobs I got fired from because I was playing gigs 5 nights a week and showing up to work either hungover or not, or I didn't sleep, or maybe a little drunk still. You know what I mean? It was like I was up till 4 in the morning playing gigs and then going to work at 8 in the morning. I was a mess. So I got fired. And my boss, I was like, this is 25 years ago. And my boss was like, he pulled me aside when he fired me. He liked me, but he's like, I got to let you go because my boss wants you to go. So he's like, but you know, ultimately you're going to have to choose. He's like, you're going to be an artist or you're going to be a businessman. You can't, you know, you're going to work in the corporate world, one of the two. I didn't choose. And I ultimately went the wrong way and just stayed in the corporate world for too long. Now I chose the other direction. So I agree with you. But I think that it's funny though, because after you chose, you even said yourself, once you focused on film, you're still doing everything. Right. You're just funneling it toward that goal. It's like, so you really chose a goal, not like, I'm not going to make music anymore. I'm just going to make movies and I'm going to put all of my talents into that funnel.
Right.
Well, because you never really give up your first loves, right? You know, like I think whenever I get more healthy as a person, you know, I might dance for fun again. You know, I've gone out dancing with friends before.
Like me.
And there's like there is and this is unique because film is a creative avenue to where all of those arts work within it.
Right. It's a good choice. If you're going to pick one, that's a good one to pick.
I think for other people in their different crafts, film's unique in the sense of like they all can fit in that spectrum.
Yeah.
Right.
But other people, like my friends who are Broadway actors, you know, it's like they're only stuck in this stage thing, and their loves are when they're at home. You know, their loves are outside of the stage. And
that's sad. That's sad that you find a life in the arts, but really you're still not doing what you want, because what you want is back at home with your guitar or your piano or whatever it might be. You know?
And art is so subjective.
True.
That's the other thing. It's like you can throw shit against the wall and win awards for it.
Like that Kids Christ. Have you seen Kids Christ? It's like a little Jesus statue and a bottle of pee. Considered art.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know about that one, but you know, maybe.
And part of that's encouraging in the sense of like create just because it's in you. Right. You know, I love what Beethoven said. He said, "Don't just practice your art, but force your way into its secrets, for it can bring men to the divine."
That's true.
You know,
beautiful sentiment.
Well, on that thought, I want to talk about a little bit more about what you were talking about your creative process, because we are the same, right? I get inspired by movies, and you know that, and all of my fans know that. But can you kind of help describe to the people how you change an emotion into art, right? So for instance, I have a thing on my wall over there that says, music is what feelings sound like, or something along those lines.
Right.
And I think that's true. It's us, me, Bob, and all of you guys that are watching, taking like one thing we feel and making you feel it, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
The best way I can describe it is I was really inspired by like a film called Good Will Hunting, right?
Right.
And then from that story and a few bands and songs that I've listened to, this story in my heart, which is my first short film I made, that I want to turn into a feature. Like I'm sitting on this script for however long it takes to get a proper budget and to shoot this movie with a good starred cast. It's like I felt an emotion from that film that was very inspirational, and so I write this story about these 4 kids with broken families, and this uncle character adopts all 4 of them.
I've seen the short film of this. You guys should go click on the link below. Continue.
Yeah, and so it's like the inspiration came first, and then my brain goes, it's siblings that were abandoned.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's this abandonment. It's sitting within the emotion and processing the information that comes to mind. There's abandonment. This uncle character who's like not even family, but he's fathering these kids. Right. And there's so many aspects to the story that like was rooted in an emotion from a movie,
inspired by
a song.
So
that's cool.
Do you agree that the emotion does not have to match the inspiration? Meaning, like such as me watching a horror movie and writing a song that's like fun and exciting and like happy.
Yeah, I don't think they're correlated. I think we're such interesting beings. These human bodies that like what comes out can come out in any way.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I agree, and this is something we talk about all the time, is what inspires you and how it manifests, as an artist. And what's interesting to me over this conversation and the previous is that I like when we first, I think in the first or second episode, right? Keel and I are having a conversation like this, and I was like, I'm not inspired by anything. I just do stuff, right? I don't have specific things that inspire me. And what I've learned, I think, over this time, and especially with something you just said, was that, we don't always know that we're being inspired. It's just that life is happening to us, and it comes out, and whether we're conscious of the inspiration or not, it's obviously happening. This is not all just stuff that just like miraculously appears in our minds, and then we just make things, which is, I guess, what I thought. But really, life does happen to us, and life does affect us, and life does get manifest in our art.
Yeah,
right. And since we're talking about like how the art manifests, can you tell us what genre? Kind of give us an idea of what kind of thing. Like, did you make this thing about the uncle like a horror movie or like a chick flick or like?
Oh no, like melancholy.
So it's like
drama.
It's extremely dramatic. Cool. It's
one genre of movie that I don't usually know. Good time.
I'm a melancholy as a person, so it's interesting, I enjoy horror movies and the horror like culture. Mm-hmm. But like I've always been a heavy drama, like try to make me cry type of person. It's funny, Caden.
None of the viewers are going to believe that, because from the moment that we started the show here today, you've been laughing. Like you've been laughing like the entire time. It's always right when you're like, I'm a melancholy guy. You were laughing when you said I'm a melancholy guy.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. My personality is bright, but like my drive home is like sad music.
Right. It's all Sarah McLachlan on the way home, right?
Classical piano.
Does it make you sad or does it make you happy?
Well, I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about when I first met him, was like I had to get alone and climb out of an unhealthy mental state. Like
Right.
I'm in this space now with like mental health is so important for the human experience and the processes that we go through emotion. And I feel I'm okay. I'm pretty good at processing that emotion. But like, if I didn't process those emotions, this would be a different interview,
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a good point.
Like I think I've said this on our program before. You always have to keep in mind you're a person first, and then you're an artist.
Right.
And if you switch those two, you have necrotizing pneumonia and almost die. No, that's me. But no, you have problems go on in your life. I had this friend at Icon. His name is Steven or Steve, wherever you are. What's up, man? But he said to me one day when I was working on a song and just struggling and stuff, he was talking about this, and he was like, bro, when you walk your dog, like you're a dog walker. Like you don't realize this, but when you're walking your dog, that's your job. When you're cooking food, you're a chef. When you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. And he was saying like you need to be in that moment, which we talk about a lot on the show.
Yeah, that's very Zen,
Zen people, whatever. But he's right. Like I did not give a fuck what anyone said in that area, and I paid almost the ultimate price for it, But yeah, you have to like realize like you have to take your mental health and your physical health, because that's attached, very seriously if you want to do a strenuous job such as, or you'll end up like Avicii, who we've also talked about on the show, where it's like he got overwhelmed because of his health. His health pushed him over the edge. Yeah. And when you're at a high demand, such as an artist or a sports star or whatever, you have to take care of the physical body too, because it affects your mental health.
And
anyway,
well, in the culture of being a musician or being an artist of any sort, right? The culture is not. It's not geared toward that at all. I mean, like everybody I know is a musician or an artist of some sort, right? And every one of them I've watched them and I've participated with them while we abused the shit out of ourselves, drinking till we fell down thousands of times, smoking anything that would come into our face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, drinking until you text someone the word bitch one letter out of time.
Exactly.
True story.
Definitely happened. Didn't remember it. So yeah, we know that and I was laying on the ground with that up. I had already done the rest of my night in by landing on the ground. So
it's interesting to tag team on what you were saying. I recently came to this revelation from an acting. I have this small group of people that I train with in acting. And I had a breakthrough in one of our techniques to where I completely broke down and started crying because I felt misunderstood. And I had that fight. It's a Meisner technique. So you can't go outside of repetition. So you're repeating everything the person's saying and they're repeating what you're saying. Right. So you're having an honest human moment. Right. And so I had this moment and I started crying and my first thought was, you don't love your body.
Wow. That's heavy stuff.
Yeah. And I had to like, and I'm still going through it obviously, where it's like, I'm in a season presently how to love my body because it's your instrument. Your body is your instrument. Mm-hmm. And if you love your body well, great art can come out of it.
Correct.
And that's just from the acting stuff I've been doing recently.
Yeah. Right. I agree. I agree 100%. I mean, I've got a whole lifetime of as I said, abusing myself, right, physically, and the last 5 years of my life, I've kind of stopped doing all of that, right. So I don't drink, I don't smoke, I'm a vegan, and I make the best music I've ever made, easily. Yeah, you know what I mean. Every day I'm making music that's better than I've ever made in my life. And
like we've said, whatever you put into your body is what you get out of your body. I think Jesus said something like that, or maybe it was Costco. I'm not sure.
You got a lot of Jesus today.
Smoke, but I'm an actor.
No, it's all personal choice.
You're right. Yeah.
Whatever gets you going. I mean, I drink all of the energy drinks every day. Like,
so much caffeine.
I don't think you guys have seen me not drinking an energy drink on this show.
Yeah, I just finished my coffee. So there you go.
I think he said more like it's not what you put into your. No, wait. It's not what you put into your body that's wrong, but what comes out of your body because of what you put into some Jesus, whatever.
Like poop.
Something, yes. anyways, I mean, I do agree with that, and we talk about that a lot. Where we talk about, for instance, when I wrote music, I wrote turned up shit, like that was crazy, and we were having fun and laughing and doing crazy shit and driving scooters down flights of stairs. And then Bob was not to throw you under the sad bus because that's where he lives, but obviously, but no, like, you know, you have explained to our audience that you did it from like a sad point of view. So your music, like we've talked about before, I pointed out to the audience and to Bob when he wrote a track that we're working on because I could hear the stopping drinking in the music.
It was an instrumental song, and he's like, you wrote this when you quit drinking, didn't you? I'm like, yeah. How the hell would you know that? Yeah, I did. Yeah. So it's very good. But you know, and it's funny, and it's kind of true. Like I did write mostly sad stuff, but at the same time, I had like, you know, because everybody's complicated, and I had two sides of my brain. You know what I mean? And I had my band. I had a band. A lot of solo stuff in my band, The Distractions, which was my sad sack kind of singer-songwriter, alternative rock stuff. And then I had the band Shoe, which was just ridiculous ska jam band party nuts. And I was drunk as shit through that too. But I was having fun. You know what I mean? That was like the party. Like one was the hangover and one was the party. You know what I mean? So
that's a good way to explain it.
It's real. It's really how I was living. So
I think maybe I just didn't write music during the hangover section of that behavior.
Yeah.
Right. I think I just only wrote it. For instance, we've talked about also that I did not write any music whenever I almost died and stuff. And I didn't put any of that into my music. And I think that's probably what you're talking about, where I didn't write drunk. I mean, I did that. I didn't write sober or hungover. I just kind of negated writing during those moments, but it's also a big fucking waste of my time. So that's not a good thing. But but let's talk about. So we've talked about inspirations, kind of. Now let's talk about like what keeps you inspired, right? Like what's, for instance, me, I just watch fucking horror movies all the time. Yeah. Right? Like what makes you continue to stay inspired?
This is a weird answer for me because like I'm so inspired by like the human experience, the emotional capacity of a human being. So it's it's weird. I'm in conflict and I'm studying their responses to what I say.
Right.
I have a love type of relationship where I like study and see what they're doing. It's, I don't know. That
you don't know how to do
that. That might be a weird fucking answer.
No, I think I get it. Like, I mean, I think it has to do with your actual medium, right? Like you're an actor, so it's like it's a very collaborative process, right? You know, it's not like you don't do a lot of. I mean, I don't act, so maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you do a lot of acting alone at home. You know what I mean? You might practice, read your lines and things, but acting is interaction.
Actually, it's the opposite.
Really?
You do all of your work at home and you show up to set as a blank slate.
Well, there you go. So it's a good thing I'm not an actor, I guess, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Generally, what you work on in your living room, when you show up to set, okay, I'm about to nerd so hard. I'm so sorry.
What it's all about, man. Right, nerd out, man. This is a geek show.
The process of making a movie is so spiritual in essence that when you work on something at home, when you show up to set, this atmosphere of the set could change the whole dynamic of your craft.
That's cool.
You know, it's insane because like I wrote this last film that is in post right now. I was cracking up writing it. I was writing it, and everyone I showed the script to were like laughing out loud and all this stuff. Day of set, I'm supposed to do the work that I did for my character in film.
Right.
And it wasn't funny to me.
Right.
And so it's like I had to make the shift of like, okay, get out of your head, you know, put down the work you did at home and just deliver the lines in an honest way.
That's why it's called acting, right? Because then maybe you don't always feel the thing you're portraying on the screen.
Not always.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that's the best thing is an actor works so much behind the camera that once they show up, they have 80 hours or 150 hours of all this work, and they show up and they partner. Yeah, it's partnering with the atmosphere of the film set. Right. In my opinion, that's just a nerd thing. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's funny. I like it when I like that. I like that when we talk to artists that are not musicians, then they'll say things that are basically directly in parallel to a musical experience. So what I'm getting at is like how you perform, like the venue will change everything. If it's cold, if it's warm, if it's a wooden stage, if it's a cement stage, you change the way you play based on your experience. We were to kill it. I was just talking about this the other day. If because I write a lot of music, right? So I write on guitar and piano, mostly those two. And if I can't come up with an idea, I'll just put one guitar down and pick another one up, and then boom, you know what I mean? Right. Then it's a whole different experience. And it's just, it's, even though I'm not collaborating with others in the room or whatever, it's just changing the environment, changes the art. Very much so. Pretty.
And the instrument, I have a Fender at home, but that church I play for has a Taylor. Right. Playing a Taylor guitar is completely different than playing a Fender.
Yeah. Oh, trust. I don't. It's funny you said it because I'll geek out for a minute because I'm a guitar player, right? So you'll see a couple of Fenders on the wall. There's my Strat there. The Strat, and then that's a Fender lead one. That's a cool guitar. It's a 1973 Fender lead one. They only made them for like a year or two, and I put the checkerboard on it and I painted it black. But anyway, it was my first electric guitar, so I just keep it up on the wall. But I used to play Fenders all the time, is my point. And now I never do. I play that Les Paul there. And then I play mostly. I've been playing this guy, which is it's an Ibanez, but it's like an old Gibson hollow body.
Oh yeah.
So, and it changed. And to your point, changes everything. It just changes. It changed. My playing has gotten different and better, and just a different style. Everything's different. It's wild.
Well, on that point, do you both of you? And me maybe. Do you think that your inspiration is more from an external or internal source? Meaning, for instance, an external source, perfect example is what Bob was just talking about. Your guitar is obviously not an internal thing. Now, your idea of your guitar, that's an internal thing, right?
And the tone.
How it makes you feel personally that no one else is ever going to know, even if you explain it to them. Yeah. That's internal, right? So what do we as a group feel is more what we use, or do we believe differently on that? Do we do things differently? What do you think?
I think, well, Bob, you can go ahead.
Oh, well,
I have some thoughts.
Yeah, well, quickly, I'll just say that I think that what we've already been talking about is that it's, none of these things are mutually exclusive. And, we are inspired in every way, externally, internally. When you talk about the instruments, it is the sound of the instrument. It's the way the fretboard feels or the way the keys feel. Yep. But it's the tactile, change in your environment. It's everything. So anyway, go ahead, Kate.
It's not only instruments though that I'm talking about or anything. It's like also drugs, alcohol, love, lust, anger.
I think that the way it translates on my end is there's types of craft when creating a character. And it's funny because in the same conversation about different instruments inspired different sound, I spent the better of 10 years studying this a Stanislavski method, right? Yep. And I was just not introduced, but like I started training in Meisner. And what's crazy is Meisner.
Explain to us what those are.
A Meisner technique is just a type of acting where he got famous for repetition, which birthed like an honest human emotion.
And what Stanislavski was more the method acting kind of thing.
But it started in method, and then he's sense memory and like bringing up past experience to a performance in the present.
Pacino, right? That's the Pacino kind of acting, immersive.
But it's the same conversation of like, sure, like I can have a great performance using a Stanislavski method, but in my life now, the Meisner method has been more beneficial to my character developments,
Right.
Within my training, with the group I've been training with.
Now make that connect to the answer of the
So to connect the answer to the question is, I think it's and in both. I think inspiration comes from tactile outside forms, and inspiration also comes from the inside out.
I think I have to agree with that, honestly, because, for instance, what we talked about a little bit earlier about like something not having the same emotion as what you kind of watch or something, because I'm inspired by horror movies, but I make fun party music that'll make you want to get turned up all the time. So it's like, how do you translate that? But it's like, so the external source is the movie, and that is the first inspiration. I think it comes later. So then you have what I feel from, I am the dude that is sitting in the horror movie laughing at the movie and you're cussing it.
Right.
Like, because I think it's funny that there's many people that's got slaughtered. But it's like, so I think that is a good example of what you guys are saying, which it is an external source that almost leads into the internal source of inspiration, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. Or I'm wrong.
I think you are correct. I think you are correct.
I mean, this is why we say art is subjective. There's no right or wrong.
There is no reality, bro. Reality
There you go.
inside. It's all internal, baby.
Reality's
Maybe
fake.
that is what I think.
We're all in the matrix, right?
Also, we're all sponges. Like our bodies take in
Speak
so
for
much.
yourself, sir.
Our bodies take in so much energy, and we release energy. So it's like there's this concept of inspiration coming to us and us releasing it back into the world.
Right.
It's a give and take. It's a give and take on so many levels.
Well,
So
logically, I agree with everything you just said, except that my name's Bob, so I stay away from any sponge metaphors.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
Just kidding. That's a stupid joke. Making a stupid joke.
Good.
Yeah.
So tell us about your process from the moment you watch that sappy movie and you go, I like this feeling, to when your movie thing comes out, right? So
are you talking more of like a practical application? Like what did he actually do?
What we would call in music the workflow, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
From step A to step negative something. Well, how do you get there?
Here's the thing with that film is I don't identify as a writer at all. But in this system in Los Angeles in the film industry, it's like either you have the money to pay someone to do it or you fucking do it yourself.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So I started writing this song on the piano.
Oh yeah.
I started writing that song.
Yeah, it's dumb.
And then I immediately had to get on my computer and just get it out of my head.
Right. Yeah.
And so from that piano song to getting this 12 pages out of my head, now I can step into the full feature film. I had a small amount of money and a small crew of people that wanted to make this short film. And we shot it. We shot one room, one day. We did a 12-page script in 11 hours, which is unheard of.
Right.
It's
That's
so
amazing.
good that in my head, until I thought about it when you said one room, it took place in more than one place.
Yeah.
Because the writing is, I'm just going to tell you guys, the writing is so good in it that my brain pictured like the gas station or what the car place that he works at and getting, I'm not going to spoil, no spoiler alert, but whatever happened, I could picture it. And so my brain actually had this memory of watching that. And I think that's good art, that I literally envisioned what he was describing when they were telling the story of their uncle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, anyways, sorry, I cut you off.
Did we say what the title of the movie was? I mean, did so people
So
could
the
go
title
see
of the movie, so it's kind of annoying because I had a guy that was he was very, I want to be respectful.
Don't be respectful.
it? Don't be. He's not watching. Don't worry about it.
Be honest and be respectful for us.
Yeah, no. Just in case. Just in case he sees this.
Don't watch it if he's talking about
it. Felt like he argued he argued me on a lot of points. And I mean, granted, he edited it and did the cinematography and all that stuff. That's cute and great. But what was the question?
Yes, I was not the first one to do this. Yes,
actually, that's fantastic. Yeah, every episode somebody goes, "Where was I?"
I was so worried about being respectful and honoring to this guy.
Yeah, honestly, dude, the actual question was simply, "What was the name of your movie?" And then that's where you went.
Okay, thank you. So
you failed.
Okay, so the short film is called "This Is Not an Intervention."
There you go.
I never really wanted to shoot an intervention scene, so
it's a great title.
Yeah, you guys can watch it. But the feature film I want to call The Kids, because that's what the movie's about. It's about these 4 kids, unrelated, and
so what you're saying is you made a short film, but you're turning it into a feature.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I didn't follow that, so I'm guessing probably the viewers didn't either. So now we know.
Well,
so
now we all are on the same.
So this short film is called "This Is Not an Intervention."
Right.
The feature-length film is going to be called "The Kids."
Gotcha.
Before I forget to mention, I really wanted to bury him in the sand in the desert for a long time. So what I did was I cast him in my music video that you all have already watched, premiered after episode 6.
Right.
It's out.
Is episode 6 out yet?
No. I was saying your music video.
It will
Yeah.
be by the time they hear this.
Okay, great.
But no.
Episode 6 will be like the end of January, because we're going to launch on January 1st with 4 episodes. This is episode 8, so you'll be like early mid-February.
That video for two times ago.
Nice.
But yes, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. That's one of the times where I experienced an art form that I am not part of, which doesn't happen very often because I'm a producer and I spend all my time around producers such as Bob. So it's like, I know what everybody's doing, but then you go and you're fucking in your band and watching people with fucking drones,
12 hours.
12 hours shoot with drones.
We shot 2 locations in 12 hours.
And they let me drive, and I drove over the cooler immediately. This is true. So,
and you got stuck in the sand?
But maybe. Think about that did happen. Think about how dope it was for someone who's such an artist and inspired by movies to be able to go, oh shit, this is how it's happening with, and they're doing it for your video. Like it's like, and we had amazing actors and actresses. Shout out to all you, David, and what was her name? What was the girl's name?
Oh shoot.
Okay, we love you so much. But watching these phenomenal people working with just like neon lights in the band to make a UFO effect of someone like getting pulled into the van, or like lighting Barbie dolls on fire, like me and Joel talked about that we did as kids in the movie as an Easter egg for all of you that are wondering why we did that. Like it just, being able to be around a different art form has had inspiration for me continuously ever since, because I'm like, God damn, that was cool. Like I really enjoyed. Anyway,
also it's relationship. Like the director of photography on his music video, we actually became friends, and he was the director of photography on my new short film.
Oh, that's cool. Right on.
Yeah, and we're actually discussing like a very long future relationship in making films.
Yeah,
he's very talented.
So good. And he just worked on the new Call of Duty game, because I love video games, not that game, but he did. So that's pretty cool. Yeah,
shout out to David Klassen.
We definitely need you to get on the show, David. I think you could tell us some amazing things.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you told us kind of things that you do, right? So you produce and you act and you dance and you poet things and you write things. Now tell us, like, what is some of the gear that you use, or the things, for instance, I know that you have like a nice mic and a nice keyboard and all the things that I want from you. I'm going to rob you. But tell us what other things that maybe us as normal people that have no idea about those art forms would need if we wanted to be doing it.
That's a good
Here's the thing, like it's always been acting for me. And and so in this climate, it's self tapes. Having yourself a nice setup for like a good backdrop and like a camera. It doesn't have to be a nice camera. Like even iPhones are great.
Right.
We're filming on an iPhone right now.
Yeah, we're doing this right now.
Yeah.
So,
Right on.
But like getting a good mic setup and a good tripod and setting yourself up for the best. And honestly, just a mild education on editing.
I think almost education more important.
When I casted this recent short film, the self-tape performances was the ones that we hired.
Right.
The people that came in did great. But there's so much advantage to self-tapes right now that, and I hate saying it because I feel like I'm old school and like I love the the tensity of a room and fucking people just staring at you and like you have this opportunity to go in and perform in front of them. Right. But there's so much.
But with the self-tapes, you don't have to ask the question, what are they like on camera? Exactly. There they are. They're on camera.
And you can do multiple takes,
right?
Until you find the one that you like.
Right on. It's funny, like, because if you don't, as I do not, because I'm, on the other side of the country, living in upstate New York, and hanging out with my guitars, I don't know anything about the film industry, right? So, what's in my mind, like, it's starving actors walking around with a stack of headshots. Just going, you know what I mean? And I didn't even think about like videos, like making videos and sending in, audition videos and things like that. I just figure, knocking on doors, here's my headshot, and then stand by, go to the casting couch or whatever.
Yeah. I think the best thing I can tell like young actors and I'm not by any means, like I'm still doing the grind. But like
what you're doing, so I mean that's why it's got value. It doesn't matter that you're not Scorsese yet. I mean, you're doing the grind, so you've got experience. That's what we're looking for, And
I mean that's the point. Is like start making shit.
Right.
You have an idea, go make it. Get some friends together and get it done.
The Buddha said there is no good idea that is not executed. Meaning, I'm sure I quoted that wrong. He's not going to be mad. That like if you have a great idea, which I've had tons of great ideas in my life, if you don't fucking do it, it don't matter. It's not a great idea. Just like it's not your patent. If you fucking came up with Tupperware when you were 5, and then Tupperware came out 50 years later, like it doesn't matter. You did not come up with it.
Well, you and I have talked about this.
Tupperware?
No, you and I have talked about this. We're like everyone's performing.
Sure.
What's everyone's performing?
We explained that earlier, for instance, between like the way we acted with our last guest and the way we're dumb asses right now. That is still
that's a good point. That's exactly right.
Right? Because it's like everyone plays different characters throughout their life. The thing I've tried to work on in my life is being the same. Being consistent, meaning I've said some things on this show that I said because in real life, everyone who knows me will go, he would not have answered like that. He would have said something that I'm not repeating right now. So I think that you're right. And it's kind of fun because see, when you create, I'm going to go back to music because that's what I know.
Right.
When you create a brand, which when me and Bob talk about branding or a brand that is you, the essence of you. Walmart's a brand, yes. And that's a great example because Walmart is like blue and yellow and bright and awesome, right? So it's like, or you can be a brand that's like me, that's like black and white and fucking weird, right? So the branding,
or you could just be a concept. Like Pharrell is a brand, right? Because I mean, you think of Pharrell Williams, you don't just think of his music. You think about everything about Pharrell Williams. You know what I mean? He's this energetic, smart, super talented dude with this positive attitude, and that's his brand. I mean, that's really how it is. John Legend is the crooning piano player, jazz singer, R&B guy, but he's also a family man with the hot wife and the 2 kids, and that's his brand. That's really real.
Why did I bring up branding? It's my turn to forget. You have any idea? Nobody?
I don't know. Why did I just rattle off random R&B singers? I don't know.
But I know there's a point in there. I think I was talking about having a strong brand when you start out, maybe. I don't know. If not, I'm going to talk about that.
Well, we're talking about everyone performs.
Oh, right. Your brand is. So there's 2 types of branding. I'm back on track. there's one where you create this character in your mind, which is like Excision, right? For instance, the dubstep artist, or like, people like him, or Bass Nectar, or some metal bands. And then there's the other form of being a brand, which is like me, where I am Kilo House. What you get now is what you're going to get if you're around me when I'm daydreaming or I'm like talking in my sleep. This is still how I act. And I think that we touched on this a teeny tiny bit with Nick, where we talked about how he had to edit my hour-long video into like 4 minutes to make you guys, as the audience, as my fans, know the real Kilo House, right? You're not getting a fake version. So yeah, that's all I was saying. It's like, you have to find in real life and everything, like you were saying, you have to find the real you that you want to portray to the world, because that just so you youngsters know, it doesn't actually matter who the fuck you are or who the fuck you think you are. It's how the world perceives you. I'm sorry that I just burst your Sesame Street bubble for you. Now, the trick of it is figuring out what that is and what that you want to portray to the world. Because if that can be cohesive with who you truly are, it makes the world easier on you, because you're not lying to yourself all the time to be this thing you're not. I could never be a calm ass fucking like producer that made like 60 beats per minute fucking mellow shit. If I tried to do that, I probably can't do it. I can do lo-fi.
Dude, you're producing my record right now, and half of it is exactly that.
And how much lo-fi effects am I putting on your sound stuff? That's the thing.
Yeah.
You think it's not energetic, but in my mind, because of all the technique I have to use. Anyways, boring, blah, blah. So now that we know what you've done, what you love to do, what inspires you to do what you do, everything, why you do what you do, can you explain to us what you have coming up next, what you're working on right now?
Well, to piggyback what you were talking about too, is he was describing like the process of knowing your body and loving your body, because this is a sacred place for creativity. This is what you have. Right. So like, take care of it and love it.
It's your temple. Like
I fucking hate that. It's not a temple. It's not a temple. It's not a temple.
I love it again. Maybe the time, very dark. Okay, sorry.
Right.
No, but like to go back to go back to the concept of like the breakthrough I had with my acting is like, I have to love my instrument to be able to have an honest creation, no matter what it is.
And even if you're not an artist listening to this right now, try to be more honest with yourself, because the moment you can stop telling yourself fucking lies is the moment you can change your life for the better in a way that you want it to be. Because you're looking yourself in the eyes, and I do this sometimes with my stony eyes that you guys have never seen on this program and never will. And I just like talk to myself, not that that's weird or anything, but I just like confront myself and I go, are you living the real you? Like, are you being the you today that you told yourself yesterday that you wanted to be? And if the answer is no, you need to go spend more time in a cold shower, like by yourself, like deal with your, deal with your demons on a personal level type of thing.
And even if you don't mentally believe it, like talking to your body, like I love like the whole Buddhist concepts, the Eastern belief is like, body, I love you, or like even saying I'm sorry, I hurt you.
The whole idea of like
it goes back to what Ronnie taught me and many people who have listened to this program. Like he said, fake it till you become it. Not fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Fake it till literally you have faked yourself into thinking. For my example, I am a producer because I tricked my mind into thinking like a producer and that I would be a producer. So that's all I can do.
Also, you've done the work.
Sure, but the work comes easy once you think of yourself. Also, you need to think of yourself as that thing before you ever touch. In my opinion, everybody, before you touch a football field or a guitar or a cheerleading outfit, you got to picture yourself there. Like they talked about how there are these Olympic athletes that they'll train in a chamber that all their muscles are hooked up to like these sensors, and they're in like a dark space. It's like blacked out, no sound, nothing. And they say, now visualize what you're going to do when you do that ski jump. For instance, that was the example I heard. And they said the brain fires in the exact same way when you're not moving at all as when you're experiencing that thing. I mean, it goes back
That's
to
pretty
like
wild. That's a cool,
talked about it. Like the first time I remember feeling like I could walk is playing Mario 64. And it's not that I was literally running around, but I know what it feels like, because when I was thinking about what I was doing, it was the same experience in science as if I was to walk around.
Right on.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool way of looking. So we should bring it, but just because, I mean, obviously we're having a good time, and this is going to go on for hours if we don't get back to a template.
Yeah.
Gotta land the plane.
Yeah, right. So we're circling the tower anyway. How about that? So what we normally would do right now, Canaan, is say, what are you working on next? Which is kind of a big part of what we've already talked about, right? Unless there's more to it that you would like to elaborate on.
I'm going to be completely honest that I am struggling writing this jazz waltz score for this film. I've spent hours behind my piano. I have video, so I have my piano right here and like my home studio with my screen here, and I'm watching it and trying to like process. And this is the first time I'm writing a score with 6 different instruments.
Right.
You know, and so like doing my own research, like if I write something in C and a saxophone, I'm writing a piece for a saxophone, I have to go down 6 steps, which translates to a saxophone part. Right. You know, so it's like it's this. I never knew that, but it's this very like long process. So currently, I'm working on the score for my short film that's still in editorial.
Right. So the answer is, hopefully what's next is a completed score.
And a completed movie. You know?
And a completed movie, right on.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because like my editor works for Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers like gave her so much work. So like a film that was supposed to be done like this month is getting pushed to next month. So I got kind of lucky because I'm like, okay, cool. I have another
buys
month
you a little more time. Yeah.
A little more time to get the score written.
That's great.
Now,
so
usually, yeah.
No. Well, I was gonna go ahead, Kilo.
I was just going to say, usually we've never done this before, but I'm going to take a brief moment now to say something I feel that I need to tell you guys and talk about. Now, this is going to be the one serious moment of this show that's ever going to happen. Ever. So
yes.
Don't be sad.
I love it. This morning,
somebody, we live by a railroad track. Somebody killed himself on the railroad track today. So, so that's a hard one, but love and, prayers and good vibes for his family. But if any of you are going through shit right now, like anything at all, like look at the number on the bottom of the screen right now and call the number, or hit us up on Facebook. If we see it, we'll respond. Talk to your family, people who care about you, or go jack off and watch a funny movie and forget that life sucks. Because life fucking sucks. But at the end of the day, it's definitely worth you being here for you, but also for the people around you.
Right on, man.
Yeah. We've discussed mental health. We've discussed mental health a lot in this episode, and like the best thing you can do is communicate what you're feeling, no matter who it is. And
remember, and honestly, if you listen to everything we've talked about, obviously it gets better. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it get, no matter how low you are, and I'll tell you, I've been low. Right? I mean, I've been in the gutter, literally and figuratively, and the fact that can change so dramatically means stick around, man. It's
and put your emotion into an art or into whatever your passion is, because if you can harness that pure emotion, you can make an impact on people who feel the same way you feel right this second.
Right on,
So-
buddy.
And if you haven't heard it lately, you are fully and 100% fully loved,
Right on.
no matter what.
Absolutely.
And I know it's a hard time. We're all going through hard moments right now with the whole virus, and hopefully someday this will be airing and we don't ever have to talk about it ever again.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Understand it fucking sucks, and you're watching right now going, it's not, you don't get it, bro. Maybe we don't get it, but there's someone out there that does get it. That's why there are group therapies. That's why there are meetings to go to for loved ones lost, such and such. Reach out. At least before you kill yourself, try everything you possibly can. At least give everything a good try first. And that's probably going to take the rest of your life anyway, so we still get to have you here.
Exactly.
So
There you go.
now that I've ruined every single person's day right now.
No, Keela, that was incredibly important, and I'm glad you said it. And I think we'll have to remember too. Obviously, we're filming this, so it's not there right now. But by the time you folks see this, we'll make sure we have the suicide prevention hotline down at the bottom of the screen here. And so and we'll just have to find out what that is. Well, let me see. I'll tell you what it is, because some people are going to be listening to this and not watching. So let's say I have the power of the internet in my hand. So let's get that number.
That's what I say at nighttime. Anyways.
It's 1-800-273-8255. So if you need to call somebody, call that number, 800-273-8255. All right. So now
we're on more fun.
There you go.
The time where stupidity is fully encouraged is the ending of the program, what everyone is always looking forward to. Now I'm going to have to be a little annoying, like I always am, and say like, subscribe. It helps us out. It helps us know what you're enjoying us doing.
That's how he enjoys his evenings.
Yeah, it's for the people. It's so that we know what you want to see, who you want us to interview. Also, one of what we're about to do, which is the random questions. If you have an example or something you want us to ask, as long as it's not the most appropriate thing, as long as it's a little inappropriate, we will consider it and it'll be great. So with no further ado, whatever ado is, you go ahead, Bob.
Okay, sure. I think that so, and so if it's the first time you're listening or watching the show, what we do at the end of the show every time is ask a random question, as Kilo just said. One of them, I'll ask the industry question. So I'll ask an industry question. All three of us have to answer it. And then Kilo asks any kind of random question, and then all three of us have to answer it. And then Canaan does the same. So you ask a question, we all three have to answer.
We all have to answer it. So if it's too embarrassing, we're fucked too.
Well, if it's too embarrassing, lie.
We're all in this driving boat together.
All right,
let's go.
Okay, so my question. So I was inspired by my own T-shirt here. So the Mystery Science Theater 3000 is one of the greatest television shows of all time, and I have two favorite greatest TV shows of all time.
Yes, I love that show.
Futurama and Mystery Science Theater 3000 are the two greatest television shows that anyone's ever made. It's not debatable. It's just fact. And
nobody debates.
And the reason I'm pointing it out is that both shows have died and come back to life multiple times. And Mystery Science Theater. Yeah, and Mystery Science Theater is coming back again for its third incarnation.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's awesome. Joel Hodgson, the guy that created it. He's this dude from Minneapolis and so if people don't know what Mystery Science Theater is, I'll tell you real quick. This guy, Joel Hodgson, in like the late 80s, mid 80s, started this public access show in Minneapolis. Where he was a puppeteer and a comedian, and he and there's two puppet robots that he created watched movies together and make fun of them. And they're all bad old B movies.
Wonderful.
It's freaking fantastic. And
what Blockbuster was for.
Right. So then he got picked up in the 80s, he got picked up by Comedy Central, and that show was on for a few years in Comedy Central. It went away. It came back on Netflix, and then they canceled it. And now it is coming back because they had a GoFundMe and raised $6 million to shoot another season of his show. Yeah, because a bunch of nerds like me out there love this freaking show.
Right.
So, so there's that. And then Futurama, I think everybody knows. I hope everybody knows what Futurama is. It's the greatest cartoon ever. And it's died 2 or 3 times. And I'm still holding out hope that it comes back. But anyway, that's where I come with my question. So I'll go, Caden. What do you have an example of your sort of like little secret cult favorite thing like that has come back, or you're just dying for it to come back?
I know my answer, baby.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, there's so many. Shoot, that's such a good question. There's this show that only got one season, called The Black Donnellys.
Oh, I remember the name. Yeah, it's like an Irish mob thing or something, right?
Irish mob thing.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by East Coast culture, like
There you go.
my plan was to get to New York, Philadelphia, or Boston before this LA stuff, a whole nother story. But like, yeah, The Black Donnellys, I was really inspired by and have watched the season. It's the only show I've watched the whole season at least 3 or 4 times.
That's awesome. Well, cool.
Dude.
That's a good answer. Right on.
Cool.
And,
Mine I've not seen 3 or 4 times, but I will now do that. I want Max Headroom to come back.
oh yeah, Max Headroom.
Give me more Max Headroom right now.
It's so awesome.
Come on.
Yeah, I
kinda
remember.
look like him.
It's
Kind of look like him. If I shave the beard off, I can play him if you want. I am in a wheelchair. I am offering my services.
That's fantastic.
So that's fucking that.
And
I remember-
guaranteed. You weren't even
It
alive
has
when Max Headroom was actually popular. I don't think you were even born yet.
No,
I
no.
remember Max Headroom because
I
I'm 100
haven't
years old,
seen
but
it.
it's awesome. And
I
our listeners
actually-
probably don't either. It was a crazy
yeah, look
thing
it
on
up,
MTV.
everybody.
Yeah, it was a thing on MTV where this actor, this Australian actor, it was a real guy, but they had this crazy video effect on him where it was all glitchy and everything.
Yeah.
And you
Like
interview
they
people.
do on TikTok these days, they kind of
Yeah.
that. But yeah, no, I had not seen it until right after Ronnie had died. And it just like was so outlandish. I was like, Ronnie would have loved this shit
Awesome.
because it's so nonsensical. And he actually pisses off the people he's interviewing, which
Every
he did
time.
not do, luckily enough. But he pisses them off on purpose. I even spent hundreds of dollars on vintage glasses from when he was a show. And I just think it's great. I think it's that thing you need to listen to or watch if you're depressed right now, because it will make you realize life is not as serious as you right now feel like it is.
Right
For
on.
real. Great.
Right on.
Okay, what about you, Bob?
Oh, well, I think I kind of answered it with my first.
Oh.
I started it with my answer.
God,
Well, so my
He
answer is
started-
few.
He started with the answer.
Yeah, I started with my answer. If I'm waiting for something to come back, it is Futurama. It's always
Yeah.
Futurama. I just
Oh,
want to watch
yeah,
Futurama
dude.
every day, all day, and I want new episodes every day.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I've definitely seen that show a bajillion times.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so Keela, what's your question?
My turn.
Your turn.
Okay, this is gonna sound weird, don't worry. When do you feel the most beautiful? Like what in like
Oh fuck, that's a
just
hard
think
question.
of an answer, bro. Playing guitar or like in the shower or whatever. It can be anything you want. In your brain, I don't know. Go ahead, sir.
Am I going first?
You're the guest, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're the guest.
I hate to be heavy with that question, but
whatever.
yeah, it's like sure, like I feel pretty when I'm playing sexy chords on the acoustic guitar.
That's nice.
For sure.
I like
But like I am still going through this process of learning how to love my body,
Sure.
and feel pretty.
Sure.
And that's a
Well, I mean,
weird, weird way of saying.
Keela, are you looking specifically for physical, like when you feel physically beautiful?
Part of it, it's not merely
That's
physical.
not what I
Right.
said. Rewind the tape, guys. Make sure I did not say what they're thinking, but we let people interpret the question.
No, the question was what makes
When do you feel
pretty?
beautiful? That's what you
Beautiful,
said.
yeah.
You asked when do we feel beautiful?
And it's not physical. But like
It could be anything.
we talked about earlier in the episode, is like I am currently going through the process of learning how to love my body.
Right on.
And so it's like it's such an interesting question because sure, like I love like I call them the Dave Matthews chords or the
Right.
Tim Reynolds chords, Like it's like
That's
it's like,
awesome.
oh yeah, this feels great. I feel great when I play this
Right.
music.
I definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Oh, no,
In
I
process.
have to answer now. Is that
Yeah.
is it my turn?
Yeah.
I don't know. Gosh, so when do I feel? I mean, just like mentally, sort of like, psychologically feeling good about life and feeling good about myself, I guess. I'm a pretty simple guy in the end. I mean, I'm not. I'm a nut job, but
Right.
but really, all I really want, like, I chill out in the studio most of the time for a reason, because I really love it here. You know what I mean? I love making my music. I love working on my writing. I love eating my bowl of pistachios. I mean, I am a simple guy. So that's what this is, by the way. If anybody's wondering what I'm doing the whole time, I'm eating pistachios because I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with everything, and pistachios are one of them. So there you go. Here,
Great.
this is when I feel beautiful. Sitting here with my cat on my lap and my guitars around me, feeling good.
Yeah.
And my kids, and my kid and my girlfriend. You know what I mean? Life.
Happy place.
Your answers are better than mine when I came up with where did I go wrong today? Mine is boring. Mine is when I'm playing Need for Speed, Most Wanted Remastered, or no, Hot Pursuit. Sorry, got it wrong. And I'm in my little like man cave game room, right? And I'm like racing at night every night. That's what's up.
That's good.
But no, it's like I just sit there with like dubstep on or like some heavy trap shit or sometimes some metal, and I'm just dancing, like actually dancing around, which I didn't realize, and I'm crippled and I dance more than anybody I know. But it's like I just get into that moment where I'm like doing something that I'm very proficient at, and it gets me into that flow state, right? And the flow state is where you find true beauty, is when you're no longer controlling what you're doing, because I probably wouldn't sit in a man cave and dance around in no shirt and just my pants, like if I didn't just get totally like engulfed in that emotion of like what is going on. So that's when I feel beautiful. It's when I'm destroying kids' inhibitions and aspirations on video games ever again. I always say I make game stuff a lot of hassle because kids are probably returning the game every night.
Yeah, my favorite moment was when we were playing Madden and I got angry and slammed the couch and you jumped.
This didn't feel like a favorite moment in the moment.
Not in that moment.
Anyway, now you're trying to ask.
Yes, but Ken, you have to ask us a question.
They didn't like an Oklahoma, bro. They didn't like a fish.
I'm just gonna be lame and say what would you guys say to your young? What would you say?
No. It's already been asked.
What would you
We
say?
can't.
We can't do the yourself question.
No, bro. Don't steal Malachi's question.
Malachi said that.
That was like the first episode. Yeah.
No one wants to hear my answer
So
again.
generic.
That's why I cut it off.
That was my
Okay.
question.
No.
Oh, I got okay.
Sorry, guys. I'm not giving you that answer again. Go back.
Okay.
To the second episode.
You can tell me to fuck off too. But
Okay,
let's
fuck
say
off.
let's say you're on death row and you have one last meal. What's your last meal?
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's actually a decently good question.
Is it?
It's
Yeah.
meets Kilo's
That
approval.
tells a lot about people's values. Now, can it be a living thing?
It could be anything.
I don't
What's your
think-
last
I don't
meal?
like where this is going.
What's your last meal on death
I
row?
don't like where
Yeah.
this is going in my head.
Should I change it?
No.
No, I think it's a great answer.
No,
A great
it's
question. I think it's a
wonderful
great question.
I just don't have a wonderful answer. I'm going to go last this time, everybody.
Okay.
So that
All
if
right.
you don't want to hear my vulgarity, you can pause it right before the end, and then you don't have to hear it.
Okay. How could your last supper be vulgar? Anyway.
It can go really bad, and it's
Okay.
about to in about 5 minutes.
Oh
2
my.
minutes.
All right.
He's like, I
Well,
want Kevin.
I'll be.
He's very good.
All right. Now I'm curious. Anyway, well, my answer will not be disgusting or controversial or anyway. Like I said, I'm a simple guy. I'd like a really good vegan pizza, a bowl of pistachios, big pot of coffee. And that's pretty much what I eat every day. So I just want that.
Nice.
So-
I almost changed my answer in my head now, I think. Yeah, I think I did.
okay. All right, cool.
I have a very, very dear relationship with Eggs Benedict
All right.
poached
Very
soft
nice.
with
Well.
extra pan-seared potatoes.
That sounds wonderful.
I'm cooking it for Christmas morning.
Can
So
I steal your answer, sir? No. Oh God! Now I have to pick whether I'm going to be appropriate or not.
I mean, you can't have me for a snack.
Well, okay. Can I have your sister for a snack?
Whoa. Whoa.
That
That
was
got
going to
weird.
be the answer, but I changed my mind, so no one has to know what I'm thinking inside. I would say one.
We already know. You just said if you could have a sister. We now know what you were thinking inside.
You shut up. Maybe they fast forwarded through that part, bro. Don't worry about it. Everybody. Now we're going to tell the other answer. Now, if you're watching this from fast forwarding it.
Okay. By the way, I'm the
say,
editor, and I'm not going to edit any of that out.
Yeah, no, none of that's going away. You have to do it yourself with the rewind fast forward button. But no, I think I think it would be one of every single kind of energy drink.
Yep.
Just so I can, and only sugar-free because fuck the sugar and energy drinks. That's a waste of time. Because I want to see how many it takes until you die. And if there is a limit, I'm going to die anyway. If this is death row and I really did the bad thing, then I'm going to just see if there's a limit or if I could have just gone the whole hog all day.
Well, that's not a deal.
It is to me.
It is. You know what?
Think about my life. It is to me.
I think it's a fantastic answer. And I think the greatest part of your answer was that it's a final fuck you to the people that are about to kill you. Because you're like, oh yeah, you're going to kill me? Fuck you. I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, let's get it over with in a wonderful, magnificent fashion.
I want 8 cases of energy drinks.
Give me all of
Exactly.
Every gas station has to be out of energy drinks.
Sugar-free NOS.
The whole cell is full of energy drinks.
Greatest energy drink, sugar-free
Then
NOS.
I can escape if they can't see me through the wall of energy drinks. That's my plan right there.
NOS Turbo.
See, it turned
Bring
out
back NOS Turbo.
Oh yeah, please do. Okay, guys. Thank you for being with us.
Yes.
Like, subscribe.
Oh, wait, I got to tell you a promo. The new film's Not Quite Fired, Not Quite Hired.
And it's going to be, we're going to show a clip, right?
Yeah, I sent a clip and a soundbite.
You didn't send it to the people.
I sent it to you.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully it makes it.
It might be here and it might not. We'll find out.
All right.
You send it to him.
Bob, I'll send it to you.
That's a good idea.
Bye,
Right
everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you very much, Canaan, for joining us. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And
thank you for having me. It was fun too. Yeah.
Cool. All right. See you later.
Hey, let's take a minute.
And now, stay tuned for a special sneak preview of Canaan's new film, Not Quite Fired, Not Quite Hired.
I don't know about this, Sasha.
Marlene, we have to do this. And we have to do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow. It's everyone's last day, and it's the party. It's the perfect opportunity.
It's a big deal, you know? You don't go back from something like this. Like, there's no turning back from something like this.
There's no turning back after what he did either. He stole from everyone. There's no severance and no unemployment. And on top of all of that, he's just gonna go off to a new city with a brand new job and a bigger paycheck. We cannot let this happen.
You're right. We're not gonna let it happen. We're not gonna let it happen. He's going down.
Oh, he's going down.
He is going... Oh, I don't know if I can do this. It's a lot.
Marlene.
Sasha.
You have it in you. I want you to think about everything he's taken from you.
Yeah.
Not everyone else, just you. Doesn't he deserve to pay?
Yeah. He deserves to pay. He's gonna pay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's going to pay.
He's going down.
Oh, he's going down.
God damn it, number 11. Nope, that one not either. Okay, I'm just going to... And here we go. Thank you.
Elegant deviations, semblance as dancers with nothing to live for in the anguish of her mediocrity, predestined for introverted disguises. Countenance contained, forced to change and rearranged with no one to blame but yourself, and you go to sleep every day with your bed already made because a lap blanket seems more safe than frivolously prostrating yourself upon commitments not yet true to you. And we cover ourselves with an undoubted sense of ubiquitous analogy brought to you by the most recent best-selling New York Times bullshit, pretending to tell you something you already know. A paralyzed agonizing sense of perplexity that has left you recumbent across your compulsive attempt to a well-maintained comforter. As if alleviation was all you desired, a thinly produced pathetic excuse of blankets beneath our bodies, and we shiver forced absolutes, and our faces hidden behind computer screens where we can make people believe anything we want them to. And my bags are packed because I've left hope behind, because my perspective has been taken for granted. And it's time to put away the things we used to cover ourselves from the rain. A little water never hurt anybody anyway. For the tears of the sky wash us daily from the skin-textured bodysuits we use as picture-perfected, manipulated appearances. And Facebook's status, Instagram post cycle of cultural dispositions and our disappointments born proudly upon distancing dialogue, which I'm sure is designed for your false sense of security. And maybe we hurt the ones we love most, but at least we loved it all. And maybe the pain is something unbearable. And maybe we wear sunglasses for two reasons: to guide us from the light and to show the fact that we are hungover. And maybe life gets harder than normal, but you walk upon it softly. And maybe you fall down every now and then, but only to get back up and take deeper breaths in between steps. And maybe you wake up one morning feeling rested enough to take down the shots of lemons life gives you. Yeah, maybe so.